Well, they have a job to do, and they're also Protestants in RUC uniforms, and they opened up on Protestants, so I think Protestants should retaliate back in the RUC. This is Mr. Keen's fault, and John Herman. I put the blame on them, nobody else.
I offer no condolence to the family next door, or anything or other. I believe that their time has run out. Either resign from the RUC or else face Loyalist wrath.
In Northern Ireland this Easter. Sir John said the petrol bombing, stoning and shooting at his men was utterly despicable. Early today there was more violence, and it was directed against the RUC when an off-duty policeman was shot in the back at his home in Belfast. He's now recovering in hospital. The homes of 2 other officers were also attacked, and some Catholic families have been forced to flee their homes in the last 48 hours. Today, Sir John had talks with his rank-and-file policemen in Northern Ireland who are coming under increasingly ferocious attacks from Loyalist hardliners.
The violence continues to flare up. Here at Lisbon last night, rioters hijacked and burned cars and a bus. They then attacked the police and firemen who came to deal with it. The violence explained away by those who did it as being a protest against the Anglo-Irish talks. Other targets included a Catholic church and Catholic homes. This was blatant sectarian violence, a problem that's been going on for a long time. The latest problem is that Protestants are now attacking the police, and most worrying of all is that they're attacking them even in their own homes within the staunchly Protestant areas like this one around the Shankill Road in Belfast. Up to now, it's these areas in which the police and their families have always felt safe. That's not the case anymore. Again last night, police homes in Protestant areas were attacked by Protestants. Some were fired at. Others were petrol bombed. The growing antagonism of some Protestants towards the police came out very clearly in the remarks made by the next-door neighbour of one policeman who was attacked, and there was no sympathy here.
Well, they have a job to do, and they're also Protestants in RUC uniforms, and they opened up on Protestants, so I think Protestants should retaliate back in the RUC.
As the police struggle under this new threat, the Police Federation is having a second emergency meeting with the Chief Constable, Sir John Herman. It's understood they will be blunt on behalf of their members. The situation now seems to be that if Sir John and the Secretary of State cannot ensure the safety of police families, the police themselves will be taking time out to do the job. Desmond Hamill, ITN, Northern Ireland.
The number of attacks on the homes of policemen in Northern Ireland in the last 2 days has fuelled fears for the safety of RUC men and their families living in strongly Loyalist areas. Although some families have been moved out of their homes, others are left to bear the brunt of criticism from neighbours that they're responsible for upholding the Anglo-Irish agreement. But since that agreement was signed in November, RUC men have had to live with loyalties divided between their community and their duty as policemen. The men of the Royal Ulster Constabulary faced their first major hostile demonstration by Loyalists less than a month after the signing of the Anglo-Irish agreement. At the gates of Maryfield, the home of the newly created Anglo-Irish Secretariat, 38 RUC men were injured in clashes with protesters who chanted SS RUC. Inside the source of the Loyalist anger, Northern Ireland Secretary Tom King and Irish Foreign Minister Peter Barry at their first Anglo-Irish conference. But it was after the Loyalists' Ulster Says No referendum against the agreement in January that the protests changed direction. The Loyalists got the strong vote they wanted, but the government was determined to see it through, and shortly the RUC would be facing a new kind of protest. The Loyalist strong-arm men came out into the open. A one-day strike in March saw cars burnt as barricades. In Londonderry, the RUC had to intervene to stop Loyalist pickets attacking a coach taking Catholics to work. Later that night, the RUC came under fire from gunmen in East Belfast. The strike divided Loyalist leaders. The agreement on tactics between the official unionists led by James Molyneux and Ian Paisley's more militant Democratic unionists seemed to be threatened.
Continually. They cannot expect to live with impunity in Protestant areas. And that's not a threat, that's a fact of life. And they ought to recognise that. It's not skinheads and hooligans, as Tom King said, that's resisting the RUC. It's the ordinary, law-abiding Protestant man who's had enough and who says, I will not take any more.
This anger has clearly fueled the determination of the Market Hill members to oppose the agreement, whatever the cost.
We've embarked tonight on a course of loyalist solidarity, and no amount of co-optation, or no amount of using our own security forces against us, or no amount of American money, or British money, or European money will be able to buy us. Ulster's not for sale. And I'm sure I'm speaking for most of you when I say that we intend to oppose this agreement, this accord, to the bitter end, to the death.
My father fought for 6 years in the jungle of Burma to make this a free country, and I'm not his son if I won't fight to the death here to defeat Tom King in this Anglo-Irish agreement.
I don't care. The whole Northern Ireland office does whatever they like. They can bring the police force from all over the world and bring all the American money to swallow this pill. But I'll not swallow it.
I certainly am prepared to give, if necessary, my life for the sake of Northern Ireland. And I can say I would speak for the majority of people in this hall tonight that they were prepared to take up guns if necessary. And the way things are shaping now is coming nearer and nearer the time when it's going to have to be done.
But it's not just rhetoric. Younger members of the Market Hill Club were last week starting to prepare for resistance. Drawn from the farms, factories and offices in the area, they were in training for the day when, as they see it, they might have to fight.
Come on, push, push!